Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I appreciate all of you. I'll be muting some of your mics just temporarily, but you'll be able to unmute yourselves. If you have a cell phone, I'll keep you unmuted, and you can obviously just mute your cell phone device. That way you can just chime in when the time comes on your own volition. It is a good day today because we're going to be talking about church culture. Now I'm just joking. Just joking. You're just so used to hearing church culture together. We're talking about corporate culture, business culture. It's very important. I want to introduce somebody to you, my business partner. She owns a large chunk in everything that I own. And please know that she's clapping right now. Yes, please know that is a lot. Before I met Tempest Simone Smith, middle name on the recording. Before I met her, I was an entrepreneur doing way too many things and scattered brain, but I was making it work. And the moment I met her, she became, at the time, my secretary. Within 2 days, my entire life got organized. How many of you are grateful for people who can just swoop in and organize your life as fast as possible? And then over time, as her confidence grew, I noticed that her stake in the company also grew. Today, she is a multimillionaire of multiple platforms and companies. Don't let her quietness fool you. She is a millionaire empath, and she knows something about culture. She is soon to be good friends with Lisa Nichols, and she's a dynamic speaker. If you ever heard her, she's going to talk about culture in great detail. Tempest, you have the floor, ma'am. Wow us, regale us with your knowledge, and of course, I'll jump in every now and then. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, everybody, for being here. No one can introduce you like Antonio Theodore Smith Jr. And that is because this is not part of my script, but that is because when you're confident in yourself and you're not in competition with anybody, you don't have to lure other people to make yourself look good. So let that be a word for somebody. Somebody is unmuted and your mic is kind of rustling. It's okay. Just I don't want to distract other people. So today we're talking about why your company's culture matters. And if I start breaking up, can somebody let me know? Because I'm also called in on my phone. I can just switch over to my phone.
Got you.
Thanks. So Webster's dictionary defines culture as the set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterizes an institution or an organization. A company's culture is represented by the values which it truly lives by, not just by the words it chooses to put on a wall somewhere. A company's culture is its identity. And why does this matter? It matters because you, your employees, your suppliers, your contractors, your clients, your customers, and referrals are all a reflection of your company's culture. Think about your favorite place to eat, drink, shop, or hang out. Your experience, how you are treated, and how you are valued is a reflection of the time, energy, and effort that is put into creating a culture that trickles down to you. So how do you create a culture? Or how do you change a culture if it's not working out well for you? I have 6 things. They are in order by my standards because I believe each one builds on top of the other. If you have questions at any time, of course, you can jump in and say something. Number 1, you need a vision. A great culture starts with a great vision or mission statement. However, and I'll say this probably 6 more times, this is not something you can copy and paste from someone you view as your competition. You must be willing to live out your vision every single day. What do you want your company to look like? What products, services, and tools can you provide? What does your company look like in 5, 10, or 20 years down the road? Who are your employees and how should they be treated by you and by their coworkers? Who are your customers? Who are your clients? And what is their experience like when they interact with you, your company, and your brand? Does your brand leave a sour taste in someone's mouth, or do they crave you and keep coming back for more? I repeat what I said I would repeat 6 more times, so I'm going to repeat it 7 times. You cannot copy and paste someone else's vision for your life, for your company, for your brand, because that's not your vision, that's not your goals, that's not your future, that's someone else's. And you can't live out someone else's vision because you didn't build it, and that's not the goals that you have for you. It's okay to take from them and to build your own, but I can't copy and paste Lisa Nichols' vision statement and expect for my company to grow. Number 2, what are your values? Your company values offer a set of guidelines on the behaviors and mindsets needed to achieve your vision. What does your company stand for that won't change or may evolve over time? Are your customers valuable to you? I know that's a funny question, but there are many companies who are in business who do not value their employees, who do not value their customers or their employees. Do you value your employees? And do your employees know that they are valued? Dear CEOs, your values are no good if you are the only person who knows them. And this actually defines your company's culture, because you are putting out there that you are the most important person in your company and that you don't trust other people with your vision and your values. What do you value? What do you value? And do your customers know do your customers know what you value? Do your employees know? Do your contractors know? Number 3, you must practice your vision and your values. I was in elementary school and I took piano lessons for like 8 years. And every day I had to practice. Practice made perfect. That's not just a cliche. That is a real life thing. I had to practice learning how to read notes. Practice learning where my fingers go on what keys. Practice learning tempo. Practice learning rhythm. Practice learning pace. And just like I had to practice at the piano, I had to practice in my business. Your business culture takes practice. Vision and values are not birthed overnight. You must practice. And you can't copy and paste practice. You must learn over time if something truly works for the overall mission and not just for your methods. If your company professes people are our greatest asset, you should practice this daily and publicly. Remember, your company culture is not just words on the wall. It's how you behave. Number 4, you need people. No company can build a culture without people who either share its core values or possess the willingness and ability to embrace those values. People need to know who you are and what makes you so different from Jane Doe who is doing something similar down the street, or why they should choose you, your product, at your price point when someone else offers something similar for much cheaper. You need people, regardless of what type of business you're in. If you don't have customers, if you don't have clients, you're broke. I'm going to say it again. If you need, you and your business, your nonprofit, your church, your ministry, your book needs people. And if people aren't buying from you, if people aren't interacting with you and your company, people don't love you and your brand, you're broke. And you're not a business owner. You have a hobby. Number 5, you must control your narrative. There are a lot of speakers on this call, and we all know that our story is our most important element of any presentation. The people only know the story that you tell them or the story that you allow other people to tell them based on their experience with you and your company. What is your story and how must it be shared? And are you living, working, and producing the narrative that you put out there? Using our previous example of people are our greatest assets, are you living this in your business and outside of it? People are watching you. Whether you know it or not, someone is always waiting for you to mess up. And if you don't believe me, in this day and age, we are recording, taking pictures, taking videos, and posting your reactions, posting your responses on social media, hoping that it goes viral. How many companies and brands have been put on blast in this year alone because they reacted completely different than what they said they stood for? Don't let your company have a narrative in the public that you didn't control. You should always be in front of your narrative every single day. Number 6. Y'all don't have no questions? Number 6. Your environment matters. This does not mean your physical location. What does it feel like to walk into your business as a client or as a customer or as a contractor or as a buyer? Are you messy and you never can find anything? Are you always in a hurry but never produce results? Do you lack follow-through? We just talked about that in our company yesterday. Are you difficult to work with? Do you listen? And if you do listen, do you listen to respond or to react? Do you pay your company's bills on time? And if not, are you upset that your clients and customers don't pay their invoices on time? Does your environment look, taste, smell, feel, and sound like what you claim it to be? I believe that your environment, your narrative, your people, practice, values, and vision all create your company's culture. And if you don't have it, it takes time to build. But what do you want your customers to feel like on the other side of you? What do you want people to feel when they hear your company's name? When people hear ATSJR companies, they know they're getting results. Our company culture around here is that no one suffers alone. It's been a long journey to get everyone on the same page because everyone is used to suffering in silence because they think that makes them a champion. But because we put out there every single day that no one suffers alone, we have survived so much together as a group that it's made us stronger as a unit. So what are, back to Webster's dictionary definition, what is the set, shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterizes your business? Do you have an attitude that your business is number one? Then you will exude that. Do you have an attitude that your business will fail? You will attract that. Do you value your company? Do you wake up every day with a set of goals that you will accomplish to make you and your company more profitable, more noticeable? Or is this just something that you want to play around with? What are your goals for your business? And do other people know them? And if you don't have employees, because I know I said that a lot, you are a sole proprietor, this still matters to you. This still applies to you. What is the tone that you want to set for your business? And it matters, it matters because what you put in is what you get out. And people see your culture every day. People earlier this month, last month, a couple months ago, were mad at Starbucks because they're shutting down to train their employees someday this month. But I value that because that shows me that they care about their product. They care about how you feel when you walk inside of a Starbucks. Imagine if they took another route and just said, oh, well, that's not our fault. We're not going to do anything about it. I probably wouldn't go back to a Starbucks. But I commend them for acknowledging that they made mistakes and they can do better. Maybe that was an extreme, but it's relevant right now. So what is your company's culture? What are you putting out there? And do people know it? Because if no one knows that you care about them, you don't care about your customers, they'll stop showing up to you. I hate Walmart because I can never get service. Their lines are long. And if their lines aren't long, there's like 2 lines open, but they have room for 28. I'd rather drive the extra 5 miles to Target where it's nice and clean and someone is always available to help. Because their company culture to me says that they care. And Walmart's company culture to me says that they don't care. So I believe if you go back through each of the 6 steps, and I'll post them later and I'll repeat them later on this call, you will discover your company's unique culture. That's all I really have. If anybody have any questions, Antonio, I need you back on the mic. But that's all that I have.
I missed number 3.
So somebody sound like they missed number 3. Was that FOD?
Yes.
Okay, she missed number 3.
Number 3 is you must practice your vision and values daily and publicly.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
When is this book coming out? That's the question. When is this book coming out that you just spoke to us? Go ahead, Shelby.
There it is. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is how do you control or how do you develop the environment that make a customer feel really good? The example we used the other day was how did the Apple Store develop an aura about its stores that you feel like you just walked into an iPhone heaven or an Apple heaven. So how do you do that with your own business?
Yeah. Tempest, we're probably going to have to tag team these questions because they're both, you need both me and Tempest, and I will explain why in a second. And that first question proved it. Go ahead, Tempest.
Do you want to go first? I have an empathetic answer.
That's why you need both me and Tempest. So give your answer first, and then it'll all make sense when I give mine, because that's why I said if he's going to ask questions like that, it has to be me and you doing it, and that's the truth. You need her and you need me, and I promise you I'll explain. But it makes sense. Steve Jobs was me. We had the same personality type. Okay, go ahead. Give your empathetic answer.
My empathetic answer is you need to set an intention on what you want your customers to feel like when they walk into your business. So someone at Apple had to sit down and say, we want our customers to walk in and feel like iPhone heaven. Or when I walk into an Apple store, my eyes light up and I'm looking at everything because I want everything in the store. And somebody somewhere had to sit down and say we want an environment that's always cool, that's never hot, that's always clean, that looks modern, that has the silver or black or space gray devices. And we want tons of people around to help so no one feels lost, no one feels like they're out of place. And you can, no matter which direction you turn in, help is available. So I say you need to set your intentions about how you want your customer to feel when they walk in, how you want your customers to feel when they interact with you or with your employees or with your product.
Now, Antonio, I know you can't answer that now.
No.
That's something right there.
Well, okay, but watch this here. See, it's not that she has a perspective and I have one. It's a whole picture.
Right. Okay.
Everything she said is spot on, but then you need me. You need to kill your people when they deserve to be killed, and you need to reward them when they deserve to be rewarded. And this is very true. I wanted to give you a few examples. Unless one of my people are on a deal, doing a real estate deal that we couldn't move, a sales call that we just could not move because that person's schedule, they're all on these training calls, period. It is non-negotiable. It is absolutely non-negotiable because, as Tempest says, no one suffers alone. In fact, Michelle, unmute your mic and tell them the only thing that will make me upset.
The only thing that will make you upset?
Every time.
When we resist?
More specific.
Sabotage the brand.
Not the brand.
When we sabotage the team.
There it is. Okay.
That again? I did not hear it.
He gets very upset, and the only thing that we cannot do is sabotage the team.
There it is. Okay.
When you try to sabotage the team, and there's many different ways to do it, not doing your part, or you getting upset so you just stop, or you're having a bad day so you decide to have a bad day privately. Because remember, our number one rule is nobody suffers alone. That doesn't mean you have to tell us your business, but most people, when they have a bad day, they withdraw. And I want everybody to pay attention. Withdraw is to take from, which is the exact opposite of abundance. So when you withdraw, you put yourself in poverty. So as you're building your Apple stores, everything Tempest said is spot on. Then there needs to be an internal person that is saying, nope, you're going to be on Tempest training. This is non-negotiable because we ride together. We die together. And if we don't love each other, then they won't. Hopefully that's something processable. And it's far more than that, but that's something processable. What me and Tempest have done, since we're two totally different people, I have all these great ideas. I'm moving forward. And Tempest said, stop. You forgot about everybody like me, Tony. This idea has nothing to do with people who feel this way. So many different times she stops me and checks me and says, hey, what about people who don't talk? They're in the back of the room, not included, and you're doing nothing about that. That's culture. Tempest says, stop, old boss man. You're doing it wrong by thinking you're doing it right. It's only right to your personality type, not the collective whole. And you need both of those. You need Steve Jobs, and you need Tempest. You need both. You absolutely need both. Steve Wozniak was more like Tempest. You absolutely need both, or you get a whole organization that never stops to say thank you. And one of the worst things you can do is be so full speed ahead and never stop and say, hey, you know what, Donna, you did a good job. I appreciate the way you did that PowerPoint for me. That's something Tempest made me learn how to do. You need both for a culture. Go ahead, Tempest.
I have nothing to add to that answer.
Okay. Well, I guess next question. Come on, that was way too good not to have questions. Culture is income. Okay, let me help you all out. How many of you like the culture of the ATS Business University? Okay, Donald. Tell us why, Donald.
I like it because it's just inviting. I mean, you feel like you're part of the team. I come from working at Dell Computers where it was the total opposite. Micromanagers everywhere, everybody covering their butt, and no, like you said, sometimes you need to be told thank you, And the only time we really ever heard from management was when we screwed up, not awesome job. I mean, granted, I did screw up on a regular basis, but at the same time, I hit a lot of home runs and never heard anything.
Wow. We got a comment about that before Donna go. Go ahead, Tempest. That's major. Thank you, John. That was major.
So I guess I just never thought about that. Sometimes I get wrapped up in our world. I just assume everybody does what we do. So I take that for granted that we have a culture where it's a lot of thank yous. It's a lot of you're doing a great job. It's a lot of I see you struggling, so how can I help you? How can I take that off your plate? So yeah, I don't really have a response to that. It's just makes me more thankful that we are.
We started it in 2012 with the thank yous because I realized I made one huge mistake. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm like John. I made mistakes all over the place. And let me tell you something. I never make the same mistake twice, but I sure enough figure out 20,000 different ways to mess something up. I get all the new ways to mess stuff up. I was like, I'm inventing and looking for different ways to mess this up. But I'll never make the same mistake twice. And one day I brought in new leaders. Now listen to this culture. I brought in new leaders. Hey, look at Tempest, because everybody look at it. I brought in new leaders trying to stimulate growth, and I never told Tempest. And here's what happened. She was with me this whole time for years, about 3 years at this time. It's been almost 9 years now, but 3 years at this time. And everybody who started with me felt alienated because I brought in new people. It's not that they didn't want their position. It's not that they were mean. It's I didn't communicate with them properly. That's number one. And then when I start having people, when I start saying, Tempest, I know you're used to doing this, but can you get rid of some of that and give it to this person? Now you got a double whammy. You didn't know these people were coming in, and now they doing your job. That's killer for a culture. That is the worst thing you can do for culture. It's the worst thing. It's the absolute worst thing. But I've still, to this day, I still don't think I've made a bigger mistake than that. And that was 2000. It was 2011, get ready to be 2012. And what I did was I read a book by Andy Stanley. And he was talking about environment. And I was like, wow, you know what I need to do? I need to start saying thank you more. It will slow me down. But had I just said thank you, Tempest and others, for what you've done, this is only for growth. You're not losing anything. But thank you, then that problem never would have happened. It took me 1.5 years to fix what I did in one moment. And it took almost, how long did it take me to get your trust back from that, Tempest? Don't lie either. Don't lie. Don't shave no months off.
I would say it took maybe 2 years for me to fully trust you.
That's fair.
Because I was still waiting for you to go back to. I was just waiting for the next big change, and it catches me off guard. And then I look to my left, and there goes somebody else talking about what Tony said. And yeah.
Speaking of Tony said, if y'all, John brought up being accessible. I make sure I'm accessible. If you text me, I'm gonna text you back. If I'm in a meeting, it'll be a delay, but I will text you back. I will talk to you. It's hard to get me on the phone because I'm always in front of somebody, but I will call you back, text you. Something, no matter how big we get, it's just something I'm gonna always do. It'll never stop. But if you try to go around Tempest and do it, I'm going to send you back to Tempest. I'm going to say, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. Do me a favor. That's a longer conversation. Get with Tempest. She schedules my thing, and that way we won't be interrupted. That's my nice way of saying, I see what you just tried to do. I see you tried to go all the way around and act like she's not equally as important as me. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And I had to learn that because Tempest, what was I doing when people, what did I used to do that you had to correct?
You would just be like, okay, I'm going to schedule a time. And then you would double book yourself. And then I would have to go back to the first person and say, oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. I double booked Antonio. Can I bump you to a different time?
So in order to cover up my mess up, she had to jump on a grenade of my stupidity, right? Me trying to be too nice. And sometimes you can be sometimes you can be far too nice and ruin your culture. It's not that there's a rigid chain of command. That's not what I'm saying. But when you intentionally go around Shelby, and this is what me and Shelby are trying to do, I have to say, wait a minute. I know you're ready, but Shelby is the most important thing I'm doing all day. And when I'm done, you get to be the most important thing I'm doing all day long. And it's hard to build that culture. And when you have that culture, they will tell you, I will chop off heads to keep this culture. I will. Without apologies. I will fire you if you don't fit the culture. Our business has grown far more by people I've let go than people I've brought in. You should receive that. Tippers, you want to add to that? Okay, so I got a good idea for the Q&A. If you took notes, you can ask questions according to chapters. Chapters. You can see, I heard a book. That sounded like a book to me. It sounded like she was, she was doing a podcast over her book that she had just wrote, and she was going on a book tour promoting it because that was solid. that was solid. You can do it that way. You can ask questions about that. Or what you can do is you can ask how we create our culture. It's hard. It is hard. But we pulled it off.
I have a question.
Sure. Bashangi.
So how do you disrupt the culture to be able to now create a new one? Because I that's kind of, or if you're the one that sees that, okay, the culture is not right, but you're not the one in power, you're not the one that makes the decision, how do you, again, disrupt that?
Okay. We got two things. Tempest, tell them how I changed our culture this morning. So that's me in power versus not in power.
So this morning, I woke up to a message that said, hey, everybody, you're going to start giving up. I'm going to paraphrase it. I'm going to say it the way he really wants to say. Hey, everybody, you're going to start giving me hourly updates. He used to call them sit reps with me, situation report. This is what it's going to be, or you fired. Now, I guess. And I was like, well, it is what it is, because if this is what it takes to get us to the next level, then this is what it takes to get us to the next level. So sometimes my answer is sometimes you're just going to have to be bold and step out there and say, hey, this is what it's going to be. Or I'm not going to be able to be around you no more.
I sure hope y'all don't think I feel bad for that. Let me tell you, I don't feel bad whatsoever. And every 30 minutes, well, every half of the hour, with the exception of now, because we're on a training, I've been going sales report, and I upset everybody. Okay, I upset everybody. Let me tell you, it's different. It's not that they're bad. No one likes change. And so there's a system in place. And when I said, this is what we're going to do now, the system violently attacked me. Not them, but the system. And they was like, wait a minute now. And now watch this here. So let's bring up Michelle. And this is still me. This is still the first part of Evo D's answer. Now, Michelle doesn't come to work until 10 o'clock. I was sending this message out at 8:30 in the morning. And then I was tagging. Somebody called Michelle and let her know. And everybody was scrambling by then. Now, Michelle, tell them what I did privately that nobody knows about but me and you.
What he did privately was, I was unaware of all these messages coming through that tell Michelle this, tell Michelle that, and I was unaware of it because we had an agreement that I actually don't get to work till 10, so I wasn't focused on that. And then so he privately called me and he said, I understand, don't get here till 10, please send a message reminding me as a group that I have grace till 10 o'clock this morning, and that, but I still need.
I think here. Talk now. Come on here. Okay. Come on here on this one. That's okay.
Okay, so what he had me do, he called me privately because he knows that I really wasn't looking at my phone, but I could see the notifications going off, and I started being frantic and frazzled. And he called me. He said, hold on, I know you don't get here till 10. It was about 9:30. He said to please post a message to the whole group letting them know that you heard the message, and to remind everybody that you don't get there till 10 o'clock. So basically, I was letting everybody know, hey, I'm here. Remember, though, I can't do anything till a specific time, but I receive your message.
There you go. I'm not even sure if they heard all that because the screen. Did everybody hear that, what she said? Okay, good. The screen kind of froze. Okay, good. Good. So while I'm... if you want to say something else, go ahead. Actually, I'll keep these in, and then we'll just use that as a microphone.
But it also did...
By doing that, what that also did is it actually calmed me down, not thinking I was missing something very important, because that's what my first thing is. I freaked out. Oh, what am I missing? Not only did he let me know that you're not missing anything, but this is the way it's going to be. I'll explain it to you. We'll go over it when you get here at the office. So I was kept in the loop at the same time. I was kept in the loop basically at the same time, and I was also letting my teammates know, hey, I'm here. I will be on it. Just give me a moment.
That's it. That's facts. Thank you very much. That's all facts. And let me tell you why I did that, and then we're going to let Tempest pick out an example of someone changing our culture that wasn't in charge to answer Evo D's second question. The reason why I did that is because had I not let her respond, then the culture wouldn't have been established. And what would have happened is someone would have got lazy and said, well, she didn't respond, so I'm not going to respond. So I called her privately and said, no, respond. Just tell everybody we have an agreement, and then I will back you up and say, oh, my bad, we sure do. And that's exactly what happened. We planned her correcting me publicly. Oh man, I really need y'all to catch that one. Okay. We planned her correcting me publicly so she can look like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. And then so I can look like I fully respect our agreement, no problem. I'm just changing the culture because we're going after, I'll tell you, we're going after $100,000 a day. And we can't do it with the current culture. I need a report every hour what's happening. That's so FOD, to this morning, we changed the culture to something we've never done before. It was quite disruptive. Yet in its disruption, we were just fine. Make sense? People don't like change, but that's the way it works. Okay, Tempest, you pick out some example that you have in your head because you have all that empathy, and you'll know some perfect thing to say because that's what empaths do.
So I have an example of someone else. I believe that was your second part of your question. Someone else not in charge, changing the culture. So Antonio and I have known each other for 7 years. So over time, we've developed what I wasn't aware of a secret language where we apparently talk in code, or we look at each other and we know we have a conversation in silence or something. And we were in Florida in the first time, June or July. And we had information, we had insider information, but we didn't properly articulate it to everybody in the group. And it caused someone to break down because she felt like she was out of the loop. She didn't know what was going on. And we thought we did a good job because we communicated to each other and we had the information. So she came to us in tears and frantic because she said, I always feel like I'm outside the loop because I don't understand y'all's secret language. And that made us realize, one, we have a secret language because I don't think Antonio was aware of that either. And two, we use our secret language to communicate with people in our company, but they don't understand Tony and Tiffany's language. It's very shorthand and it's weird. I know now that she said that, I know that it's weird. So she changed the culture by just coming to us and saying, hey, y'all speaking a language that I don't understand, and that makes me nervous, that makes me uncomfortable. Can y'all spell it out a little bit more for us so everybody can understand? So from that day forward, I'm more intentional and more aware. I can say this like this to Antonio, but I can't talk to everybody else like Antonio. I can't say something shorthand in 2 or 3 words and expect everybody to catch the whole vision. So she taught me, and I'm sure Antonio feels the same way. Her name is Shannon, actually. She taught us to slow down and to actually communicate properly with each other, with everybody, and not just in the language that we're comfortable with.
Definitely. And
That's my biggest takeaway.
Shannon's one of our licensed professionals that will be teaching things like Mark Davenport and Grace Holden. But she immediately changed our culture because our next 2 or 3 company trips have been flawless. Very happy because there's been open communication about it. And that's a great way to change culture from, I don't want to say the bottom, but when you're not the owner of the company. That's a great example. And of course, we can come up with hundreds of thousands of examples. I do want to point out this here, and Tempest alluded, actually, she kind of said it blatantly in her message today. I want you to point out that someone other than us had an idea. And the culture we created, ideas can go from the bottom to the top as fast as possible here. They need no formalities. The ayes have it, all in favor, all that, all what we around here, we would call all that Baptist stuff is what we would say around here. We need no voting. If it's an idea, if it's wrong, we change it immediately. And we were receptive and didn't say, oh, you just tripping. It's two ways to actually have an idea and put it up forth. And then when your people tell you you're doing something wrong, listen. Absolutely listen. If you don't listen, Andy Stanley says it better than anybody else. I'm going to throw it back to you, Tibbs. Hey, come on in. Andy Stanley says it. Hey, we're here running a phone call. What's going on?
Is that the church phone work?
No idea. I don't think so either. Hold on. Take over real quick, Tibbs.
So I'm not sure where he was going, but when she came to us with that, I feared that this was something so important, and it was. I was afraid that if we didn't change it immediately, we were going to lose her and everyone else who felt like her, but was too not afraid, but just didn't want to come to us with that. So I'm in the moment, she caused a panic for me, but I'm grateful that she did, because I still don't know who else was feeling like that, and they just didn't want to say anything. So my advice was just to talk, because you have no idea who else is feeling the same way that that you're feeling. Hope that helped, LD.
Yes, it does. And to add on to that question, so once you're able to bring concern up, and all, again, since you're not the one in power, how do you maintain, like, how do you, since you're not the one in power, I can't hire and fire, so how can I help in maintaining that culture? One in power is not as motivated.
That's a fair question.
That is a fair question. I'm going to ask someone from our company to answer that, because I have an answer, but my point of view is different. So I don't know if Yana or Michelle can answer that from their perspective.
Okay. Hey, Uncle.
Okay, everybody, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, everybody repeat the question so I can.
Oh, okay. I was saying that now once I'm able to bring that concern up for this disruption in the culture, how am I able to, how can I play my part in maintaining that culture, since I'm not the one in power to be able to hire and fire, and, impose. So what can I do to maintain that if the one in power is not as motivated?
Lead by example would be my first thing, is to just lead by example and do what you know and feel is the right thing to do. If you're not the hiring and the firing, but you can control your attitude, and you can control your positivity, and you can control if you're resisting anything, then it's really what you can do is lead by example. That would be what I say, because I'm a big rejecter and a resistor. But if I take the moment and I center myself and I just accept it and I be open to it, and then I just follow through with it. And I know it helps when I see my teammates receiving and they example. It's so much easier for me to jump on with them and say, okay, this is a good thing. I'm stuck. Am I stuck?
No.
Okay.
Did that help, LOD? Because you're asking a very good question.
Yeah, it did help.
Okay. Cool.
I'd like to also, my thought I was going to finish earlier was Andy Stanley says, a leader who does not listen to his people will eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing to say. That was my thought I was going to finish earlier.
Can you say that again, but slowly?
Sure. A leader who does not listen to his people will eventually be surrounded by people, all right, who have nothing to say. What that means, very simply, all the people with ideas, they'll leave. All the people who want to be heard, they'll leave. And you'll be surrounded by people who have no ideas, don't want to improve anything. They just like dead organizations because they know what to expect.
See,
And,
that was the environment at Dell.
yeah.
And that's why I'm not there. I mean, I wanted to resolve issues and everything, but they just wouldn't listen.
Yep. That makes sense. And we all know these organizations. And let me pick on some of our religious organizations. Many of them are what we just described, because you can't have an idea unless you're at the top, or unless the Lord floated to you personally with golden wings and said, hey, change this, whatever. We have these reasons why young people can't be heard. It's crazy. But remember, when young people can't be heard, everything in this world is being invented by young people. Your social network, young people. Your cell phone, young people. It doesn't matter. They have something to say. We need to listen to them. That is for sure. Back to FOD's point. Well, actually, Michelle's point. Spot on. And I'm fortunate enough, me and Tempest are fortunate enough to have a lot of people that practice what Michelle's saying. Do we always get it right? No. This is why I wanted to speak up on this point. We have a culture to where you don't have to apologize to move forward. Friends ought to be able to be friends without the necessity to apologize for everything they do. Yeah. Can't really add to that. Question, please. This is.
Repeat that one more time.
Yes, friends. We have a culture around here. You don't have to apologize for everything. You can just move forward, and we don't even care. Friends should be friends without the necessity to have to apologize. Because what will happen is you'll force people to live that apology, or you'll forgive them but never include them in your forgiveness. So while they're walking around uncomfortable, you all happy because you never had that conversation. So we just wipe the whole slate clean because we're too close to be walking around apologizing all the doggone time. It's inappropriate. You don't have to apologize all the time. Your kids don't have to apologize to you. When you want someone to apologize to you like that, that's you and your pride. Move forward as one and actions. What's an apology without the appropriate actions behind it anyway? Nothing. Right. It's just words. I'm not telling you not to apologize. I'm saying if Michelle messes up, actually, when I called Michelle and said, hey, this is what you have to do, she was ready. She was like ready to defend herself. You said, right? She right? Like she was laughing. She was ready. She was. I'm messaging right now. I'm texting back right now. As soon as I say, wait, that's not what I'm calling. Now, I could have said, see, that's your problem right there. Every time I try to hook you up, you want to do that. I could have did that. And that wouldn't be me taking responsibility for me, because first off, she would have been wrong. Because the real problem would have been, oh, I just up and decided to change the culture without warning one day. That's the real problem. So her response is just appropriate. But then I want to demand an apology for her for not listening to me. Or flip it. I just up and decided to change the culture one day. Everybody was upset a little. Nobody made me apologize. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. So if you like our culture, it's because we practice at it. And it pushes off the customers. It pushes off. It just does. You'll be like, Donna be like, oh man, I'm sorry, I missed your call. And we'll be like, don't even worry about that. It's cool. Because the culture says, don't even worry about that. It's cool. You got something to say?
Yeah, I do. There's two words that when I first started working with Antonio that I hear all the time. Two words versus vocal, text, whatever. Those two words are no worries. No worries. And then and I use those, and then I use those words when no worries. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It is. Those are two words we use more than I'm sorry. We don't say I'm not worried.
Back to you, Alex. Whose name is Tippis?
Can I say something?
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Brian, and I just want to just speak on the culture of the ATSJR companies. The culture is so accepting to where, okay, look, like on Fridays I'm not in office, but I'm still at work. So the culture is so accepting to where that is still understood, and nobody has an issue with that. Now they'll have an issue if I'm not doing the work, of course, but nobody has an issue with me not being in office on Fridays because the whole culture understands why. And it's not micromanaged.
Tell them why. Tell them why. That'll speak volumes for the culture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The reason I'm not in office on Fridays is because my wife is off on Fridays. And I give Fridays to be here with her and do whatever, you know, the mundane. I'm mastering the mundane. We're going to teach y'all that too. But I'm mastering the mundane.
I don't think a single woman has a problem with you staying home with your wife. Donna, we got a problem with this? Is anybody I can't see this man stays home with his wife because it's her only day off? Does anybody have a problem with that out there? If anything, you just earned you 2 or 3 points.
Well, yeah, but you know the culture is so accepting because it's understood and it's not rejected. I've never ever experienced nothing like that, even in the church. The church say you got to be here, you need to be here. So you know it speaks volumes, and I just wanted to put that out there because I want y'all to see how powerful the culture is. It's Friday, and I'm at home, but I'm still working, and the culture still understands, and everything is still in sync.
It's a big
and
deal.
Nobody has an issue.
And kudos to Tempest because she'll continue to send him sales leads, even though he's not in the office.
Big kudos to Tempest, y'all. Let's give Tempest a hand clap. That's what our culture do. We clap for everything. We like clapping.
And we do clap.
We like celebrating one another. We love celebrating one another. You tell somebody, hey, I woke up and worked out. Let's celebrate that.
That's it. Right there. All right. Good job, man. Good job. That's it.
Yeah, that's us. And that's huge in a culture.
What you were saying, John?
I was just saying I'm a big fan of celebrating small victories. They all lead to a big victory.
That is true. So, everything. Hopefully, that answers your full question. For sure.
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay, Tempest.
I will be vulnerable and say that getting to that point took a lot of constantly takes present tense, a lot of practice. I didn't just throw practice in there for fun. I had to practice being okay, letting people be who they are and being attentive to their family, or not apologizing, or not doing what I want them to do. If you took the bank code test, blueprint is strong with me, and I need things this way at this time on my schedule. So it took a lot, and it takes a lot of constant practice and constant reminders that it's okay to let people be, and it's okay for people not to follow your blueprint agenda. So I don't want people just thinking, oh, I'm going to go out here and create this culture tomorrow and it's going to be perfect. No, I had to practice. A lot of times I send Antonio lots of messages and say, hey, can you help me with this situation? Because this is the situation. This is how I feel. And I feel like what I feel is wrong, and I don't want to put that wrong energy out there. Can you help me? And then vice versa, he comes to me with the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it takes constant 5 years of practice, and you never stop learning is what I really want to say. So you constantly have to pour into you so you can pour out, so you can accept that Bryant needs to stay at home on Fridays, or accept that Michelle needs to come in after 10, or accept that sometimes Deanna needs to leave early to go get her son. So it takes adjusting, but don't just think it happened overnight. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of tears. It took a lot of frustration.
Oh.
It took a lot of costing money, but for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'll add to that. We all have to stop, like us. I'm just talking about our organization. One of the first thing we had to do is stop thinking we better than other people. So it's real hard to give grace to people when you think you're better than them. Real hard. Real hard to tell Brian, man, I'm here on Fridays. When you think that he should be here because you would be here, you're going to treat him improperly. Before this phone call started, I told Michelle, one of the worst things you can ever do to anybody is treat them fairly. It's the worst thing you can ever do. It is the worst thing. And I'll explain. We don't all come from the same place with the same advantages. We don't. I mean, you can whatever you say in the privacy of your home, that's cool. Whatever the media says, that's cool. Some of you were born in middle class. Some of you were born in poverty. Some of you were born wealthy. Some are not. Some of you were born handicapped or with a handicap. Or some of you were born in greatness, and then a divorce happened, and you went with your unempathetic dad or your busy mom or whatever. It's so many different things that happen. In order to treat people properly, sometimes you have to give them so much grace that it evens them out. A few examples. In order for me and Tempest to let Brian stay home all day Friday until 7 o'clock, when he comes, it's when he's a preacher. So when he comes, he does a little class here, preaching at 6 o'clock. So he only comes when it's time for him to be in the spotlight. That's what negative people would say. We have to give him so much grace, go above everybody else, just to make him even with everybody else on Fridays. Shannon has a very high-paying job. She's the only person we haven't accumulated enough income yet to bring home. Her job, I dog it, she got 2 master's degrees. You can expect that she gets paid a lot, And so from 9 to 7, we don't even bother Shannon. She gives in, she puts what she can, but then there's someone who has a bleeding heart that Shannon has to go to because she's a licensed counselor. I can tell you, always put your dreams before your employer. That makes sense until your employer has an abused child sitting right in front of you. That's not the time to put your dreams first. And she sees things that most of us would break down for. So some of these standards she just doesn't have to do at all. And that's more grace so she can be made equal. And I really, really hope y'all get that. Sometimes you have to give people a whole lot more grace just to lift them to the even level. Whole lot more grace just to lift them to the even level. It don't take that for everybody. Don't take that for me. I do this full time. I'm already here. I'm 20 hours a day. I can't say, hey, Shannon, with your next 5 hours you have left, come do what I do. That's crazy. And it's unfair. And if I would do it, Tempest would get on me, so I don't do it because I don't feel like Tempest getting on me. That's it. Go ahead, Tempest. Hopefully that helped you. Being fair to people is wrong every time. Sometimes you have to understand people need a lot more grace just so they can come up to your level. The situation makes them do that. Their kid needs to be picked up at 3 o'clock. that's fair. Anyway, back to you, Tempest.
Why you always end on like a high note and be like, "Oh, back to you"? No, why? Don't do that. Back to you.
That's just it's kind of throw your alley-oop, and you dunk it. It's
I have another question, if you have
sure.
time. Well, so if you guys talk about your culture and all that, so if one day, God forbid, whatever, Tempest went and, she decided, I'm not about this. I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. I don't even like you, whatever. I don't like any of you guys, runs off and, she just completely leaves and she's out there and she basically, kind of sabotaged the team, but also the brand of the company, whether it's, her services was bad leading up to it and then she left. And then there's also her testimony out there as well. How do you repair that? I can't hear you.
I got my mic muted. You can hear?
I can hear her or you. It's my connection.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? She asked an incredible question.
Yeah.
Everdy, I'm going to have you say it again. Yeah, Everdy, I'm going to have you say it again, but this time I'm going to turn up my speaker so Michelle can hear it just for the connection. You got it? Okay, you can hear? That's okay. Say it again, Everdy, and then we're going to answer.
Okay, I was saying that, so what happens if Tempest, which is a part of the company and with all of the culture that you guys have and are producing, what if she, leading up to, this breakdown or whatever it is, she's been giving your customers bad experience or basically a different culture than what you guys wanted, and then she leaves, and then now there's also a testimony out there of your company that goes against, or a story that goes against what you guys believe in, what your culture is. How do you go about fixing that?
Okay. Now, that actually happened in this organization. I don't know how transparent Simone wants to be.
Okay, so part of that is accurate or has happened. You're not just going to throw 100% of that scenario on me.
Okay.
But it's hilarious that you bring that up, FOD. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's happening. Hold on. Before you go, let me save you. At the rise of me costed the diminishing of Tempest. Everybody hear that, okay? At the rise of me put Tempest in my shadow, and it was so rapid. And then her personality, she doesn't need credit to feel good about herself. She always feels good about herself. But when you start taking 7 years of everyone saying Tony this, but not knowing that, I do this too, and I am 50% the reason why this company even exists. In fact, I signed the contract for have him on stage. You compound that over time, and without complaint, you start to doubt your own identity. And that's fair in all of it. Matter of fact, it's an amazing thing. It took Tempest 8 years to even get to that, or 6 years to even get to that point. So at the rise of me, it cost Tempest. So that actually happened in this organization. So that's what happened. So no matter what she is about to say, it was fair that it happened. Okay, now you can go.
Okay, so during that time period, that's why I said you're not going to put everything that on you, because part of that didn't apply. But I would say, like for a year, I would quit every month.
Done. I'm done.
Every month, I would get so frustrated at, oh, Antonio, you did such a great job. Or Antonio did this for us. Antonio did that for us. Antonio. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell? It's not just Antonio. So I would get frustrated at Antonio, and they don't know this. I would get frustrated at my team because they were all on Antonio, congratulating him and thanking him for stuff I was doing. So I got frustrated and I got fed up, and literally once a month I would quit.
Mm.
Tony, forget you. Since this was my favorite line. Don't judge me. Since they congratulating you, you can have all this by yourself and you work it out. You do it. You do what I do. And we would have, or I would have, full-blown breakdowns, not crying. I was angry.
Well, these were cuss words coming out. These weren't tears.
Well, I'm not going to say that because I don't know who's listening on the other end.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was
got that saved. They was cuss words coming out. Y'all heard them before.
It was, but I would go off on Antonio.
But Chef says Tiffany's just not cuss. Yeah, she don't cuss y'all, but she let me have it.
I let him have it at least once a month. I would block his number. I would unfriend him on Facebook. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't stop by my house. Don't call my mom. Leave me alone. Okay, it's your empire anyway. Go build it by yourself. That would be our monthly argument. And I didn't put anything out there like in the public, but I did put that perception out there for our team. And they saw that. They saw the arguments. They saw me leaving and coming back. And I would come back quiet, right? I would come back quiet. I wasn't apologizing.
I had to laugh on that one.
Yeah.
But don't talk to me, right? Because I'm barely here. Y'all are lucky to have me here. Is how I would come back. So I don't know how he fixed that. You don't have to answer that. But literally for a year, I quit LOD. You should have followed the instructions the first time. It was my mood for a whole year with this company. Yeah. And I let Antonio have it every single day.
That's true.
You gonna get this because they thanking you and you ain't do it. So yeah, I took out my anger on him, and I was really upset with the team. And I should have went to them and said, "Hey, when y'all thank Antonio for stuff, it hurts my feelings that y'all don't acknowledge me."
Now, keep in mind, this is 7-8 years ago. This 7-8 years of, okay, I'm not going to get that credit this time. Okay, 7-8 years. All right. Well, this is coming. These are all fair. There's nothing here to be judged. It's all fair. Now,
we love
you, okay, yeah.
I love y'all too.
Okay, she heard you. Okay. Michelle's about to cry.
Tempest, we're going to make that up to you.
Yeah.
We
so
got
I did
we
fix it, but I did not fix it by myself. I'll give you the steps I did. For one, I ate all of it. Never said a thing. Say it again, Deanna.
Oh, I was saying that she is literally the best boss lady ever.
That's absolutely
ever.
Right.
Like, seriously. I am grateful to have her as my leader. She's awesome. Like, seriously.
Thank you.
That's accurate. No, that's completely accurate.
It's a word I always say, but I ain't gonna say it since you're rude.
No.
Can I say a funny right quick?
Yeah, sure.
I'm looking at the one that was the funniest.
Laughing anyway.
The one that was the funniest, but it hurt the most, was when she quit during the Crawfish Festival.
Yeah, that was in June. Child Tempest quit every 3 weeks. It was. She was like she was on the lunar calendar. Oh, full moon, got to get out of here. It is.
Wow, I forgot about the Crawfish Festival. I think that was like wow.
Yeah,
that was my worst. Here, y'all have it,
buddy.
And I'm out of here.
Yeah, I did a couple. Remember now, I did fix it, but it wasn't by myself. It's going to go back to that no need to apologize stuff, and the team did that. What I did was I ate it all. Nobody ever knew how violent Tempest was being. You ever dated someone and you tell all your business to your mama about them and how he done did this, how she done did that, and now you go to the barbecue, you done forgave him or her, but the family hasn't, because you done ran your mouth. And now they can't come to the barbecue because they remember how you slept with who, and this and this. Now, y'all, you done worked it out in the marriage or in the relationship, but the family pissed off about it. Yeah, I made sure that never happened. I made sure she can always come back, and nobody ever knew what was going on. It's the first thing I did. No matter how much it weighed me down, I did that. Then one day I said, you know what? We just need to let Tempest talk. So I called a meeting, and this is no longer spotlight on me. This is now kudos to the team. I called a meeting. We let Tempest talk in person. She got it all out. It's the first time everybody heard it. And almost unanimously, the team got up, gave her a hug, and say, don't worry about it. We felt that way before too. And we moved on. I'm not lying. Dead serious. Tempest, how did you feel when we moved on?
Okay, so I'm turning off my video so I don't start crying ugly.
Hell no. This is going to be sent to Oprah. We want the tears and the close-up, okay? So when you cry, bring the camera closer.
If you send me to Oprah, then I know I've made it. So I'll take your advice.
All right.
That made me feel a couple of things. It made me feel stupid because I had the company that would accept what I had to say with open arms, but I was so angry and so upset and wanted to be hurt. I kept it in, and I would only spit it out at Antonio instead of spitting it out at everybody. And I could have avoided the other 11 times I quit had I just came to everybody the first time. But the fact that they accepted me and understood and got up and hugged me and all that stuff, it made me realize that I'm valuable and I'm not hiding in the shadows of Antonio. Not that that's a bad thing, but I wanted, I just wanted my own identity that wasn't always attached to what I call the leftovers of Antonio. So
that's fair. That's totally fair. So that's kudos to all of us. I guess this is a good high point to end the call because that's I think they learned more about culture with us making fun of each other than anything. But see if you got any more questions out there. Actually, let me come back to FOD real quick. FOD, did you process everything? Because not only did you answer your question, but if you feel like that in any organization, I think what Tempest was transparent about should have helped you a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Kim Trosper, let's let you have the last comment because you're a great processor of information and you don't play around with no bull. That's my friend.
Well, thank you very much.
Anything you want to add or just say or something you observed?
Well, of course, I want to add that the ATS junior team is amazing, phenomenal. And I'll tell you, I was bragging about you guys yesterday to someone, and they were just in awe. They were like, they sound amazing. And I said, yes, I'm trying to build a team like they have. I mean, it is just, you guys rock. You guys are the family. I mean, there's not enough beautiful words I could use to describe what you guys got going on over there. So I say thank you.
Well,
that's all.
Tempest closes out with some tears.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Would you like the organ? And say, it was a good call. And no.
Okay. No. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kim Trosper, for that. I'm about to cry, but I'm gonna hold it in. But thank you for saying that because it took a lot to get here, and I'm grateful that someone other than us can see that. So thank you, and thank you for spreading the word out. And thank all of you for being here. FOD, thank you especially because you asked great questions, and you actually asked questions that I was afraid to talk about while I was speaking because I wanted to bring up the fact that I quit 1,000 times, but I was afraid. I was just afraid to do that. So thank you for pushing that out of me because it needed to be said. So thank you for your questions and thank you for being who you are And thank you all for being here, and I hope that this helped. That's all I have to say.
All right,
Yes,
everybody.
it
We
did.
appreciate
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.